Hello and welcome to today's video. It's going to be a foundation review on this foundation right here. Could you imagine if this was the full size? I'd be sitting here like, oh, I've just got my hands on this new foundation, can't wait to put it on my face, I'm going to look so great for one day. But anyway, this foundation is, drumroll please, the Estee Lauder Double Wear. I've heard so much things about this foundation. I feel like it's in everyone's top favourites. Supposedly it's supposed to be amazing. It's supposed to be a natural demi-matte finish and also supposed to be really high coverage, but you can shear it down to medium and light. And supposedly it's amazing for dry skin. It's supposed to... dry skin? I mean, it's amazing for oily skin. It's supposed to stay on all day. So I cannot wait to get it on this oil slick and see how it holds up. Of course I got a mini tester size because I don't know about you, I have major trust issues when it comes to foundations. I'm one of these people. I have a whole drawer full of like foundations that haven't worked out for me, or they're not the right colour, they're not the right formula, blah blah blah. The foundation graveyard, if you will. So got this little bad boy straight out. So let's go! What was that? Was that a dab? What? Just ignore me. I can't even express how excited I am, to be honest. It's a little sad. I've been watching reviews on this foundation for like 2 years, but I've never bought it. Just because of why I didn't have my colour, of course. Like, I've tried to match myself online, but that's difficult. And I hate going into shops because I hate getting colour matched there. Even when I got this little sample, the lady who colour matched me, like, she literally gave me an orange foundation and she was like, oh, it's exactly your skin tone. What you wear now is too light. And I was like, but she was super nice though, and honestly I probably would have bought the foundation from her. I don't know how many foundations I've bought just because the lady was super nice to me. I'm almost 21 now, so I've got a grey backbone, and that's what I did, and I asked for a sample of the shade that I thought would match me. So hopefully I did a good job, and hopefully this does. I'm going to do half my face with a sponge and half with a brush. I would always use a sponge, but I know some people use brushes, so it'd be interesting to see how that works out. So let's hope there's enough in here for my whole big ass face. Just pour some out onto my hand. I'm so scared. Come on. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's definitely liquid, of course, but it's thicker. It's on the thicker side. Okay, so I'm going to start on this side of my face, and then we're going to first use the brush. I'm just going to go straight in. I don't know why I did that. I've never just dipped my brush straight into foundation before. I'm just going to rub it on my face, and then blend it in with the brush. Oh, I probably should have mentioned the brush I'm using is the Buffer brush by Zoella. Zoella? So that's a thin layer of the foundation with the brush, and honestly it blended out really easily. It's not a full coverage, but I didn't use too much product. And yeah, it matches my skin really well. I'm proud of my matching. If it doesn't change shades, which it says it doesn't, then this should be great for me. Look all the difference. That did cover a lot actually. Whew. Shit. I mean, now you can see how red my eyes are. Look at this. Whew. Anyway, now let's sort out the other half of my face. I'm just going to get a bit more. This time I'm going to use a sponge. Okay, so this side is this isn't a beauty blender, but you know, same concept, Eco Tool sponge. Just do this. This foundation blends in so easily, it's ridiculous. Usually with my Armani Luminous Silk, I have to blend in for quite a while, or you can like visibly see it on the skin. This, like 1 or 2 dabs and it's already worked in. It looks like skin, which is crazy. Ignore this spot here. I always get spots near my eyebrows. No idea why. Okay, so now I've done one layer in both methods. I would say that the Beauty Blender sponge has actually covered a lot more. Like, I feel like my skin looks a lot more flawless on this side, apart from all the little hairs that I've now somehow got on my face. Let's just ignore that. But yeah, the Beauty Blender side, the coverage is better, which I'm surprised at because I always feel like this shears things out because obviously it's got water in it. But, damn. So now I've got one layer on, I'm going to go back to each side and just add another layer on top, just to see how it layers. But I think I'm going to do this both sides of the sponge. Now that we've seen the brush on the sponge, I just think the sponge is the best way to go. So I'm going to carry on with that and just do both sides with sponge. Okay, so the first... My nose is so itchy. Okay, so the first layer definitely went on a lot easier than the second. The second was a bit harder to blend out, but I think that's just because it's quite sticky, so it just stuck to the patches and then you had to go in a bit harder. Okay, so after that I really wouldn't recommend layering this foundation. I feel like where I've layered it is bunched up. I think because the layer underneath is sticky, wherever I put this one on top, it just grabbed and clung to that spot, and you can really see it around my nose. So definitely just stick to one layer. Oh, I'm super angry with myself now. Why did I do that? Anyway, let's see how the concealer goes on top of this, and I'll see if I can sort this situation. Okay, so I'm going to use my tried and true concealers. I'm going to use the Tarte Shape Tape underneath my eyes and the Maracuja on the face.
Hopefully this will save the bunching.
Because I look crusty at the moment too. Okay, so at this point in time I would have to say everything looks awful. And I'm just going to go take off and try it again because I feel like I really messed up when I put that second layer on. Maybe I should wait for it to dry a bit more because it has dried down. Okay, I'm going to take it off and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back for round 2 after chiseling this off my face. I have no doubt that this is long lasting. It was a nightmare to get off, but I finally got it off. And I re-moisturised. I used a more hydrating moisturiser because I feel like that's the key with this as well because it's quite dry. And let's go in again and see what happens. But I'm just going to use a sponge for my whole face this time now that I know that I prefer that. And also I'm going to leave my big ass forehead to do separately just so it doesn't dry in the time before I get up there. Okay, so I've got a layer on, and as you can see it's super high coverage. Like usually I would have to put at least 3 layers of the Armani Luminous Silk to get this coverage, but this just one layer is really good coverage when using the sponge. I wouldn't go in with a second layer because I don't want the same thing that happened last time. But also I don't think you need to. I would just go in with concealer where I need it a bit more, like underneath my eyes, because obviously I didn't go in with the foundation directly there. I'll put too much because I don't want it to crease up. I would usually use concealer just to brighten anyway. And obviously it hasn't dried down yet, so it still looks like quite a dewy finish, but it is matte, so I assume it will dry down. But before it dries down, let's put the concealer on. So I'm just going to go in with the Tarte Shape Tape under my eyes. Okay, so that concealer blended out really nicely on top of it. Now I'm just gonna, whoa, that's too much. Just gonna go in with the Maracuja and put that on my face like I normally would. Although I feel like I don't really need this. I don't know why I'm doing it because the coverage of this foundation is so much that it really covered up those marks already. But why not? If we're going full coverage, let's go. Let's go all the way. Okay, so now all the concealer's on, it's actually blended out really nicely. Definitely concealer goes on top of this foundation better than it goes on top of itself. The one thing I would say, though, this is supposed to be a matte finisher, it hasn't really like, I'm still very glowy, but I feel like that might be because of the moisturiser I put on underneath. I put a really hydrating moisturiser on just because I didn't want it to cake up, and I feel like it definitely hasn't mattified that, and the moisturiser just made it a bit glowy, which I like because I'm not really too into a matte finish, so this works for me. Although that didn't affect the coverage of the foundation, it still is really full coverage. You didn't sheer it out. And I'm okay with the dewy look. I kind of like that. I don't really like being too matte. I do like staying matte throughout the day, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't like becoming oily, but I don't mind the dewiness. Now I'm just going to set it with some of the Urban Decay Velvetizer and see what happens. I'm just going to dab this on so that I don't disturb the makeup. I'm terrified of the makeup caking up on me. Don't happen, please. Okay, so it's set really nicely. It definitely looks smooth. It didn't bunch up or anything. It definitely looks matte now that I put powder on top. I think that's got rid of the shininess from the moisturiser. And yeah, it looks good so far. Okay, so far from this foundation, forgetting about the first time I used it, just from the second experience, I'd say that I really like it. It's a good coverage. It's definitely more than the Armani. What's it called? It's definitely more than the Armani Luminous Silk, so it would be good for like days where your skin's being BITCH. Or if you're just going out and you want like a nicer flawless finish. And yeah, the what's it called? Concealer and powder went over really nicely. So the only thing left to test is the longevity. So I'm going to go put on the rest of my makeup and I'll be back later on to check in and see how it all went. I'm really counting on the controlling of oils. Please work, please work. It's been about 6 hours. Actually, let me check this out. It's been about 7 hours and I am here to check back in, of course, like I just said. Okay, so I'm looking at the foundation in the mirror and honestly, it still looks really good. I feel like it looks better than when I first put it on. When I first put it on and I was looking in the mirror up close, I felt like it looked like a lot of makeup. But now that my all our oils have had a chance to come through, I feel like it's a lot dewier, but I feel like that's a good thing. Like the oils haven't broken anything up, it's just made everything look more lifelike, if you know what I mean. I'm just gonna come in closer. I feel like when most people say I'm going to come in closer, they zoom in, but I don't know how to do that, so I move my face forward. Anyway, just so you can have a good look. Take it away. So yeah, as you can see, it hasn't broken apart at all on my face. It still looks really nice. I just look maybe a bit oily, but I wouldn't even blot at this point. I feel like it looks like a healthy glow. And surprisingly, it has not settled into my smile lines, which usually always happens to me. I do tend to be quite expressive with my face and then I end up with these annoying lines here and sometimes even below, but it hasn't settled into any of the lines. It also hasn't settled into any of my pores, which I sometimes have trouble with. So yeah, it's all looking really good at this point. And yes, I will see you in my last check-in. Okay, so it's been about 12 hours and I'm back for one last check-in. I'm so tired. But the foundation's held up pretty well. It still isn't that oily. Like, I feel like I still look as oily as I did. I still look like as not oily as I still look the same as the last check-in. I feel like it hasn't worn off, it hasn't rubbed off. Nothing weird happening. It still looks good. The only thing I would say is under my nose, it seems to have bunched up a little bit. But that's inevitable. I don't know why. I feel like I must rub my nose a lot during the day because this always happens to me. But it's definitely not too noticeable unless you're looking at my nostrils, which I know it's hard not to look at my nostrils, they're so big, but if I sort of look at you like this. Also, I have ketchup on my top. Okay, so I've just got really close to the camera again, so you can see properly. Like, as you can see, it's just rubbed up underneath my nose. But apart from that, everything looks good. It's still on, it doesn't look crazy oily like it looks reasonable. This could just be a really dewy foundation that I just put on. Hasn't rubbed off anywhere like I just said, hasn't creased yet. Just that weird nose thing. Other than that, it's fine. Looks great. Okay, so that's it for this foundation review. I hope this helped you if you were... Was that English? Not English. Okay, so that's it for this foundation review. I hope that helped you if you were thinking about buying this little gem. Well, it's not this. If you're thinking of buying the Estee Lauder Double Wear. I hope this gives you some insight. I think I would definitely buy it after this. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye!